The other thing that we want to think about when we're looking at shape, or one of the other things, not just whether or not we're symmetric or skewed, we want to be looking at how many mounds are present. Right? So we can classify data by the number of mounds present. Unimodal distributions have one main mound. Bimodal distributions have two main mounds. And multimodal distributions have more than two main mounds. Keep in mind that mounds may be different heights and may represent different groups within the data set. So if we look at these two pictures underneath here, right, this first one is an example of something that is unimodal. Right, we only have one mound. It actually looks to be pretty symmetric if we want to tie into what we were talking about before. Here, notice that they're not the same height, but we definitely have two spots where we have a larger frequency of data. Right? So this would be an example of something that is bimodal. Right? We have two common frequencies that are showing up. Right, so we have another example at the bottom of the page here. Data were collected on the finishing times of two different marathons. One marathon consisted of a small number of elite runners, the 2012 Olympic Games. The other marathon included a large number of amateur runners, a marathon in Portland, Oregon. What shape would we expect the distribution of the sample to have? Well, if we kind of look at these two above to kind of guide us, right, we're probably going to end up with something that looks like this bimodal example. Right, we're going to have one peak for the faster runners, and there's going to be a high frequency of times that are going to be similar there. And then we're going to have another peak for the slower runners, right? It could be varying heights, but we're probably going to end up with two different peaks for our two different groups. So in this case, we would expect our graph to look bimodal, right? There's going to be one mound for each group. Again, there are a couple of homework questions kind of similar to this that you're going to see in my stat lab. So as you're working through them, just think how many groups of large frequencies are we going to have? Is it just going to be one large frequency? Is it going to be a couple? Are we looking at different groups? And then use that to kind of guide how many different mounds you could see. Are we unimodal, bimodal, or multimodal?